Thomas, what are some things that might happen if you never take out the garbage? What would happen?
Smelly house.
The house would smell. What else would happen?
Oh, perfect. And then we did the glad strategy. Too much garbage.
There'd be too much garbage. Okay, what else?
The idea was to also be
No room for more garbage. Okay, do you think it would be a good idea?
And I'm so lucky because my mom lets me drive the four-wheeler all the way down to the garbage can, and I get to take out the garbage.
You take the garbage out? Okay, well, we're going to read a poem today about someone who didn't take the garbage out.
Yeah.
So your learning target today, I can put the events of a poem into, let's write it in your journal. Turn to the next clean page. I haven't glued him in just yet or taped him in. Just leave him here. He's part of our last lesson. So today is 2 dash.
11. That's 16.
Okay, your learning goal for today is I can put the events of a poem in order by turning the poem. Are you ready for this?
Into me.
No, you're going to like this part. By turning the poem into a comic strip. I noticed you like comic strips. So today you're going to make... So I need your attention still. Have a seat, please. Okay. We're going to read a poem a couple times. And then you are going to turn that poem into a comic strip. And we're going to make sure that you remember the sequence of events. What does sequence mean? The order.
Oh, order.
Yeah, you'll want to make sure you remember the exact... All right, so let's recap the events of the poem. What happens first, Thomas? What's the first thing that happens? What's the problem?
He doesn't take the garbage out.
Who doesn't? And what happens as a result of her not taking the garbage out?
It broke the window, blocked the door, it raised the roof, and it broke the wall.
Good. So, does she take the garbage out after that happens? After it goes down the hall and breaks the roof, does she decide to take the garbage out then? Does she? No. What happens?
She decides to take it when it goes across the street.
So look here. After it breaks the wall, what happens? More garbage collects here?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens after more garbage collects? Look right here.
It finally touches down.
And then what? What's next? What are some of the consequences? It reached that far.
Because ours
What happened to Sarah's friends?
they moved away.
That happened to her friends? Check right here.
They wouldn't come to play.
They wouldn't come to play. What happened to the neighbors?
They went away.
And then, was that before or after the garbage reached Golden Gate?
Before.
That was before. What
It's
happens?
like that high. The state's like right there. No, the state's like right there.
So, what happens when she finally decides to take the garbage out?
It's much too late because it reached his the state.
Okay, so you have all the events of the poem swimming around in your head in order, and you get to make a comic strip.
Can I use the mousey?
I have some templates here.
I know what these are.
So you're going to turn our poem here, Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia, Stout, would not take the garbage out. You're going to turn it into a comic strip.
Why can't I use a banner?
What do you think will be important for you to remember when you make the comic strip? What's an important part of making a comic strip?
Kitties.
Are there kitties in this poem?
No.
No.
The garbage.
The garbage.
Blade.
In your first box,
Blade.
in your first box, Thomas, would you have the garbage piled super high and tall?
No.
Why not?
Because it wasn't that high then.
Oh.
It was like teeny tiny. And then it went here. And then she took it out all the time. It'd always be like that, teeny tiny.
So what I hear you saying is that the garbage gets bigger as the story goes on. Okay. So what does that tell you? What will you have to think about when you make this poem into a comic strip?
The dog's eating.
What will you have to think about?
The garbage.
The garbage. You'll have to think about the order of the poem, right? You have to think about the order that everything happens in. So here in these boxes, you can write your own dialogue. What did you call those? Dialogue boxes. Speech bubbles. You can use speech bubbles. You can write your own words that you think might be said. If Sarah's there.
Comics, there's not too many words. It's just speech bubbles.
Yeah, you can do speech bubbles. And you'll use illustrations to tell the story of the poem. So I have an example in my journal.
Picking up the cards.
Hold on a second. Let me show you my example here.
Cupid.
Hold on to that thought that you just asked me,
The
okay?
Cupid notebook.
So here's a comic I made for the tortoise and the hare. You'll see.
Faster. Every day. This stuff's not on there.
Okay. So you want to make sure that you keep the order of the poem in mind, and you may go ahead and get started. When you're all done, I'll have you read your comic strip with me. You can use colors, pencil. I have lots of colors here. Do you have any questions before you begin?
Can I add a helicopter picking up the garbage at the end?
Is that part of the story? No. So what do you think?
No.
Okay. Why don't you tell me about, thank you. Why don't you tell me about your comic here? Start at the beginning and tell me about this. What's happening here?
No.
Let's see it.
Who's that?
Cynthia.
And why is she saying no? I see you adding some details here. Just tell me about your whole comic from the beginning to what you have done so far. Tell me about the comic, Thomas.
Saying run. Go.
And who are those people?
The neighbors.
The neighbors. And what did you start? You started working.
This is the friends, and this is the neighbors. And she has a mustache.
So what about this one?
Take it out.
Okay. What are you going to add to the next box? It was your favorite line in the poem that isn't quite in your comic yet, so I'm surprised. But do you have more to add to it?
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that with me. What does that look like?
A rainbow of garbage.
Oh, garbage. Yes, I like that. Okay, well, thank you.